Good evening. I'm going to call the Bellingham City Council to order for April 20th, 2015. We have a couple of announcements and upcoming meetings. On Wednesday, April 22nd, the annual Lake Whatcom Management Program Joint Councils and Commissions meeting will take place here from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and it will be preceded by an open house at 6 p.m. On Thursday, April 23rd, we will have a special meeting of the Bellingham City Council, a joint City Council Planning Committee and Planning Commission work session to discuss key issues relevant to the development of the UGA recommendations. On May 4th at 7 p.m. in Council Chambers, there will be a public hearing to consider an amendment to the Samish Neighbourhood Plan that creates a new sub-area 1A. On Monday, May 4th at 7 p.m. in Council Chambers, there will be a public hearing to consider an interlocal agreement between the City of Bellingham and the Whatcom County regarding division of Whatcom Medic 1 assets and liabilities. And we have some special guests tonight. If you would like to come down here, we have the Boy Scout Troop 4006, who's going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on down, boys. You can come down right in the front. Come right down here. We're ready when you are.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to start with our 15-minute public comment period. Oh, roll call. Sorry. Whoopsie. Are we here?
No. Partly.
Terry Borneman.
Here.
Dan Hamill.
Here.
Michael Lillquist.
Here.
Roxanne Murphy.
Here.
Pinky Vargas.
Here.
Jack Weiss and Jean Knutson are excused.
They're excused. Now we'll move to our 15-minute public comment period. Can you grab me the sign-in sheet, Michael? We're going to do something a little bit unusual tonight, is that we're going to have a couple speakers that are going to come up together. However, they are only allotted their 3-minute time, but they're going to be distributing it throughout. We will be guiding that timeline for them. There will be a warning at 10 minutes, at 5 minutes, and then at 1 minute to wrap up, because we want to be careful to share everyone's time. Reminder that this is a safe environment for everyone to speak. No jeering, no cheering, and no dissent from comments. Everyone is free to say what they need to say and stick to your 3 minutes. So come on up, Larry.
I am Mary Ann Rangel, and I am a citizen of Bellingham, Washington. My colleagues and I are here to introduce you to the Association of Bellingham Citizens, a recently formed group of residents from a variety of neighborhoods in Bellingham. Several of us are here tonight to voice our concerns and suggestions about growth and development in our city. For more information about the Association of Bellingham Citizens or to be added to our mailing list, please contact us at bellinghamcitizens@gmail.com. The 28 charter members of this group formed to work with the already established Responsible Development Organization have collaboratively agreed to add a public voice to the preservation of the quality of life and long-term livability of Bellingham and Whatcom County. We as a group want to express what the community values we cherish are while planning ahead. We believe there must be an emphasis on becoming better, not bigger, because as study after study has proven, bigger does not mean better. And it is important to us to focus on the long-term affordability for existing residents rather than exclusive focus on the initial affordability for those who might or might not move here someday. Should they decide to move, They'll thank us for our focus on the future. The ABC's current project is the Comprehensive Plan Update, with an initial focus on the population growth forecast. About the population forecast, will the forecast reflect the community's vision of a long-term and good quality of life for us and our children? Will it reflect our values of maintaining lasting neighborhood character, open spaces for wildlife and for us to enjoy, and adequate water supplies? Will it be based on accurate and up-to-date data? Will the growth forecast be sustainable and consider our carrying capacity and limits to growth? Will we choose the forecast that deals most effectively with the uncertainty of growth projections and the substantial risk of overestimating future growth? Will we implement public policies to ensure our growth matches our vision of the future? Will our decision makers eliminate the growth subsidy and adopt a growth forecast that does not cause taxes to outpace the rate of inflation? The ABC is currently focusing on these 6 population growth forecast issues. Tonight, we will address the first 2. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Wendy Harris, and I am a citizen of Bellingham. I'd like to look at the first issue, which is, will the population growth forecast in the comp plan reflect the community's visions, values, and priorities? And that's a requirement under the GMA, and you can see all the different regulations that exist that reinforce the importance of this. And there's basically 3 things that are required under the GMA. You need to have public notice, early and continuous public participation, and informed consent. And informed consent refers to a visioning process so that we are incorporating community goals and values. That's done through a visioning process. And this is reinforced by the Department of Commerce, which provides guidance on the update process. And they said the concept of visioning is so important that the visioning language is embedded in the GMA itself. More specifically, they said the public should be involved at the earliest possible time in the process of comprehensive planning under the Act. This should begin with a visioning process in which the public is invited to participate in a broad definition of the kind of future to be sought for the community. The results of this process should then be incorporated into the plan features, including but not limited to locally adopted levels of service and density selected for commercial, industrial, and residential development. And when you talk about density selected, you're really talking about population. Now, to achieve those lofty goals, the GMA requires and the city has a public participation plan. It was scheduled to begin in June 2014. The city also has a scope of work document which indicates that growth projections were completed prior to June 2014, before the public visioning process and public participation plan were anticipated. And I'm going to skip that one. And what happened was, in March 11, 2014, the city entered into a multi-jurisdictional resolution with the Whatcom County Council, approving a non-binding multi-jurisdictional resolution relating to population and employment growth allocations. And the city chose a high population projection of 1,562 residents per year. The city of Bellingham has been asking the public to make choices based on the presumption that this high population growth forecast is a predetermined fact. And while the city promotes the fact that it has a public process and it has initiated a survey to ask the public what they want, that survey is predicated on the assumption that the population figures are a done deal, that they're a given fact. In fact, that survey is prefaced by this statement. Throughout the next 20 years, the city's population is expected to increase by 36,000 new residents and 23,000 new jobs. Where will these people live and work? While the majority of new residents can be accommodated through existing zoning and approved or pending development projects, the city needs to develop recommendations for where approximately 3,000 additional people will live. This is not public process, and it is not public visioning, and it does not comply with the GMA.
Good evening. My name is Bernie Walls, and I live in Bellingham. In terms of population growth and forecast, what are the community's vision, values, and priorities? There are 4 recent City of Bellingham resident surveys that were completed in 2006, 2008, 2010, and 2013. What are the results of these resident survey provide informed consent? Here is a key survey item and responses. What is the most important problem facing Bellingham today? Growing too large, overpopulation, too much development, improper infill, overcrowding, protect look and feel of neighborhoods, traffic congestion. All of these reflect growth-related problems and concerns. The results of these resident surveys provide informed consent. Here's another key survey item and responses. Bellingham is growing too fast and is losing its character. The survey in 2006 came in with results strongly agree or some would agree at 71%. In 2008, it was 62%. Note that the question was not in the 2010 and the 2013 survey. Question, in terms of population growth forecast and the community's vision, values, and priorities, what have we learned from the 4 resident surveys? Answer, growth is slowly as possible. Conclusion, adopt the lowest population forecast. Thank you for your time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larry Horowitz. I'm a citizen of Bellingham as well. We're going to take a look at the second population growth forecast issue, which is, will the population growth forecast be based on accurate data? The population information in the Burke technical report that you've received and initially provided by staff do not include data beyond 2010. A new picture of population growth emerges when the updated data is considered. The first chart shows population growth in Bellingham with the updated data through 2014, and you can see the trend from 1,349 per year down to 587 per year over the last 7 years has been our average. So you can see the last 4 years have made a huge difference. Compare those 3 numbers with the numbers that you've been given for your population forecast, the 1,500 ranging to the 1,000. You've selected the 1,562 as the preliminary allocation, which exceeds all averages over the last 24 years. This is the same information graphically. The average of 1154 substantially lower than the forecast that you've adopted, but what I want to focus on is the last 4 years, from 2011 to 2014. Those are the years that were omitted from the data that Burke based its forecast on. Same information, but just focusing on the last 7 years, again, the average of 587, substantially lower than the forecast of 1562, and the trend is going down. Going back a slide again, you can see it has some spikes in the middle, but we've basically been in a downtrend. This graph was produced by John McLaughlin, has a PhD from Stanford in population biology. The white circles represent the average annual growth from the beginning through 2014. So for 1968, you see it was around 1,000. What I want to do is focus on the year 1990. You can see that was a blip. That was the peak. The Burke numbers above that peak only reflected data through 2010, not 2014. Also, if you go to the year 2000, you can see it expired in 2010. But if you look at that trend, that is a standard bubble and bust. We are in a severe downtrend. To predict that we're going to reach that high forecast of 1562 for the next 20 years does not fit with the data at all. So the question is, in terms of the population growth forecast, what have we learned from the updated population data? Well, we see that from in 1990 to 2014, it was 1,300. But if you compare that with 2007, it's fallen all the way to 587. We are in a substantial 7-year downtrend. There is not an uptick. Not once since 1968 does the average population growth through 2014 attain the high forecast that you have selected. So there's a conclusion there. I think the reality is there is not a forecast that fits the data. The forecast that would fit the data is below the low. But if you are limited to selecting the low, then the low is the best that you're going to get. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
I am Christopher Granis, also a Bellingham resident. In summary of the population growth forecast issues number 1 and 2, the 4 recent resident surveys established the community's vision, values, and priorities in terms of the population growth forecast. The community's informed consent is to adopt the low growth forecast. The updated population data reveals that the low population growth forecast provides the best fit with the data through 2014. We have addressed the first 2 of the 6 issues that we will bring to you. The other 4, will the population growth forecast be sustainable and consider our carrying capacity and limits to growth? How should we deal with uncertainty and risk? Given that growth forecasts are self-fulfilling, what is the role of public policy? Are taxpayers subsidizing growth they don't want? So we'll be back to talk with you some more about these 4 issues. Eben Fodor, who wrote the book Better Not Bigger, asks, where are you on the growth spectrum? And you may have noticed I passed out a sheet that was on your desk. That is from Eben Fodor. So these are questions that I think it would be really fair if they were given to the public. How much more traffic congestion would you like in your community? How much more air pollution and water pollution would you prefer? How much more farmland and open space do you want to be developed? How much higher do you want your taxes to go? How much more of your local natural resources do you want consumed? Would you prefer that your city government continue to subsidize new development, or should they use city money to fund the things that we really want the city to provide? How much bigger do you want your community to be? Is it already big enough? Thank you. I appreciate the time you have given to us. I hope we kept within our time.
You got
20 seconds.
yeah.
Thank you. We're going to continue on with public comment. If you could please come down here. The next delegate is Tara Hollins and then Margaret Hashimi. Sorry, my mic wasn't on. That was Tara Hollins, Margaret Hashmi, is that correct? And Ray Barbu. If you could please state your name for the record.
My name is Tara Hollins, and I reside off of Northern Shore Road in Agate Heights. And I've lived in Bellingham for nearly a year and have experienced many adventures as I have settled down in this wonderful community. One can imagine what is required to move a family of 7 from Virginia to Washington State. As my husband encouraged me that Bellingham was an ideal community to raise our children, I was rather apprehensive with many concerns. On my to-do list for our move was that I had to seek out services that would support my oldest daughter's developmental and social needs. This transition has led me to rethink and experience what it means to have a transitioning young adult with special needs. When my daughter turned 21 and exited out of the school system, the reality hit home when I had to give up my career in order to support her daily needs and supervision. With a family of 7, that does take a big hit out of our income and opportunities for a better quality of life. There are many individuals with developmental disabilities in our community who are in a similar situation. That is, their parents must support their child, and the work first model isn't a realistic model to agree upon. As I have looked at ways to support my daughter, we consistently work towards creating a daily schedule that incorporates a person-centered focus to her daily dreams and daily goals. The purpose of me coming here is to let Bellingham Council know that often you hear a NIMBY, not in my backyard, stand on issues and concerns. In this case, I say YES to the NIMBY, to a program that was created and has thrived for 30 years, the Max Higsby Center. This program may not be a fit for everyone with developmental disabilities, but it does so much for those that do participate, not only for the participants, but for the parents who desire to have their child enjoy recreational activities in a fun, relaxing, and non-judgmental environment. The Max Higsby Center should have Bellingham support when it needs to expand its program to offer more space for its members. This program to me is considered a highlight and an attraction for a family who relocates to Bellingham and is in need of support for their developmentally disabled child. Please take the time and visit the Max Higsby Center, a rare jewel in our community that many communities dream of having. They will be having one of their top fundraisers this Saturday at the Depot Market Square from 5:30 to 10. The Max Higsby Center offers a positive presence to our community and needs to have Bellingham's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Margaret Hashmi?
If I could give this to the clerk, and she. My name is Margaret Hashmi, and I'm a resident of Bellingham. Hashmi is spelled Hashmi. And this is an invitation to the I-735 initiative. This will go to try to get big money out of government. And we'll go
Margaret,
on.
can you hold on one moment? Peter,
Yes.
could you?
Yeah, so under our rules of procedure and state law, we can't use city resources, city property to support or oppose a ballot measure.
Oh, this is not a
Includes-
ballot
includes-
measure. It's an invitation to a launch.
We've interpreted that as even before it's on the ballot, if it's an up-and-coming ballot measure, we've said that in public comment that's not something we can have testimony for or
Okay,
against on.
I just wanted to invite the mayor and the council people, but that's okay if you don't want it.
You can also send us an email if you'd like to, Margaret.
Okay,
And
okay, thank you.
thank you.
I didn't realize.
That's okay, we're all learning. Next is going to be Ray Barbaro. And thank you. And if I pronounce your name wrong, you are able, please do correct me. And after that, it'll be Joseph McDonald and Eric Scott, if you could please line up here.
Thank you. Ray Baribeau of Bellingham, a member of the Jail Planning Task Force. And I would like to encourage the mayor and the city council to work diligently to work out an agreement with the county on the safe new jail process. We need to get that on the fall ballot. We need to let the voters vote on the proposed tax increase, which is currently to raise sales taxes 0.2%. I love visual aids. This is $2. I will pay anybody that wants to complain for their first $1,000 purchase. This would be the increase in the sales tax. We have real consequences for not reaching an agreement. If the city loses access to the county jail for their misdemeanor offenders, it would be a real problem for the city. And it would also lower the morale of our police force. I have told by a reliable source that the chief would like to add 20 more policemen. Well, if you add policemen and you are arresting people and you don't have any place to put them, the morale goes in the toilet. So be aware of that. The justice system is very complex. I got to see an exchange of emails today, and there's the issue of misdemeanors versus felonies, civil versus criminal court, arrested versus booked versus being issued a ticket. The revised Code of Washington, which I've looked at a few times, and that's about as tedious as stabbing yourself in the eyeball with an ice pick, but that's state law. And a lot of people that want to reduce the number of people going to jail want to change that, but we can't do it in the city, we can't do it in the county council. It's state law. It's got to be done at the legislative level. So be aware of what laws have effect on our local people. A lot of people say there are too many people in jail who should not be there. The county corrections website is really easy to use. And if you look at the jail bookings each day and then look at the releases over the next couple days, you'll see about half the people that are booked into jail are released within 2 days. So we're not retaining a whole bunch, and I find that the number of bookings and the number of releases pretty much average out. So the people that are left there are ones that are probably there because the judge feels there's a good reason that they should be there. The last thing I'd like to ask, based on some discussions I've had today, especially with Judge Uhrig, should the city and the county sponsor a criminal justice system public workshop? There's a lot of ignorance out there. Who passes the laws? Who can change them? Who makes the arrest? What's the difference between an arrest and a booking? What discretions the judges have on bail? A lot of people need to know this background, and it might be worth sponsoring that workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Joseph McDonald? And if there's anyone who would like to speak after Eric, please come line up at the door.
Hi, my name is Joseph McDonald. As you know, I have a speech impediment, but the main topic of my speech tonight is not animal control, unless you consider people behind the wheel animals. They are very stupid, though. In the wintertime, I wear an orange sweatshirt. One time in the middle of an intersection, I told a motorist, I've seen people get hit because of people like you won't watch out for pedestrians. She said, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I said, I thought the orange shirt would have given you a clue. I'm sure it's an everyday occurrence that a paramedic is picking up someone about the cement in the city. I know it's an everyday occurrence that I have to remind people to share the road, despite how brightly dressed I am. It baffles me that some people are willing to kill someone else because they're in a hurry. You don't have to go to Afghanistan to kill someone. All you have to do is get behind the wheel. I'd like to see the police do a patrol and pull people over for stopping in the pedestrian crosswalk. I'm sure everyone would agree that the police would be doing the community a service by pulling people over. It may seem innocent that people stop in the crosswalk, but it's like shooting rubber bands. It's all fun and games until someone gets shot in the eye. What if someone hits me? What are they going to say? I'm sorry, my bad. I would like council to advocate for me. I gave the mayor my address for a response, and I don't want to hear money is a problem. If money is a problem, I know this may sound harsh. Forfeit the warning and write a ticket. Paying a ticket is cheaper than taking a life. Thank you. People's attitudes and actions there's no animal control. I can do whatever I want, and my dog can do no wrong. I would like to see this change with this. A month or so ago, I told you I'll give a speech every time I have to chase away someone's dog with my horn. I've had a change of heart since then. I recently had to chase away someone's dog and wrote a speech about it. After 3 times, I will tell you, you get more than 2 birds with 1 stone with this one. If people want to walk their dog without a leash, take them to a non-leash park. You're guaranteed not to run into me there. Other than the bathroom won't smell nice after I get done using it. It's the only other guarantee I can give. But you might want to contact Animal Control and insist that my perimeter be patrolled, because you don't want to see Mr. McDonald here complaining. You may want to promote the idea of them having a bug patrol. It might put my mind at ease if I see that. I offer a solution to me coming up here complaining about them. I recommend you take heed of it. I read in a letter of Cascadian Weekly, someone wrote, if your dog
Joseph, could you wrap
comes
that
at
up?
me, all your calls seem futile. I can only assume that your dog is out to hurt me.
Thank you. Eric Scott?
Hello, Eric Scott from Birchwood neighborhood. Pardon my allergies or cold, whatever it is. I'd like to talk about the comprehensive plan decision coming up. I feel the City of Bellingham Planning Department is more concerned with the profits of developers, not the people of Bellingham. Okay, I feel we're paying their salaries for a lowered quality of life and a worse city. Crowded, poor, ugly, gentrified, and we all know it. We all see that happening in Bellingham. We are accelerating the sprawl out into the county. The uglier you make Bellingham, the more people will leave out of disgust. We're already looking, my fiance and I are already looking for a place out in the county, because we've lost trust in the city. We don't trust what they're going to do. We think they're going to get their hands in our neighborhoods and degrade them, increase the density. Developers will overbuild. It's known for that. They'll overbuild, and then they will advertise outside of Bellingham to bring people in and fill up the units and quickly pay off their bank loans. So they create the growth that they predict, or that is predicted. I see no accountability. The mayor appoints a commission. The commission advises the city council, and then the city council is essentially more or less compelled to act on that recommendation. The commission, as far as I understand, are mostly a lot of developers. A lot of people are directly profiting from development. So I'm wondering why there is no environmental scientist on board with decisions based on such environmental destruction and loss of our local open space. I don't really care about wetland mitigation banking, which is essentially writing a check to the Lummi tribe and giving the right for developers to bulldoze our local open space. I don't like that. So I find that process very convenient setup, and that people can essentially shirk accountability for what happens. I felt the City of Bellingham Planning Department had put on essentially a propaganda campaign. They put out what I saw as a misleading survey. Supposedly, everybody in Bellingham wants more infill. But that's inconceivable. We'd want to live in more crowded conditions. That doesn't make sense. Nobody I've talked to really wants that. I feel they're putting a happy face on something that's making the city very ugly. Last week there was on the 16th, there was a Bellingham Planning Commission agenda, which I attended, and they passed out their handout. One of their issues in their Group A, menu of key issues, they talk about the large lots are a standard of the past, are no longer as important in establishing the character of an area. For example, minimum lot widths were established as a density control to regulate traffic in neighborhood. So I say, says who? Who says that we no longer need adequate sized lots? Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We're going to take two more citizens, and then we're going to close public comment. If you could please state your name for the record.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm honored to be here to be able to speak. I'm Irene Morgan. I'm from the county, but I've been, founded the Reentry Coalition, now the Restorative Community Coalition, 8 years ago. We've been working to advocate for the voiceless and the underserved. We connect people returning from prison to services in the community, and we educate the public about all these issues. There has been a misnomer. We have been misunderstood when we have advocated for alternatives to jail. We believe that we need a jail, absolutely. There are those folks that do need to be kept safe and us kept safe from them. And we agree that it needs to be a humane jail. The taxpayers, are being asked to forever pay 0.2% in sales tax. And I believe that is unfair to burden our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren with this burden. And it's still, one of the things that bothers me is how the cost of this jail has moved from many different numbers, and now the largest of all, $122.5 million. And that doesn't include the roads and the sewer plant that has to be built before the jail can even go in. That hasn't even been figured in. And there's lots of studies that show that incarceration doesn't work. We're closing prisons and jails around the country. Our crime rates are going down, so why are we looking to build an oversized jail that we really don't need? There's lots of alternatives to jail, and that means before people go into jail, not after they're there. The mentally ill don't belong in prison, in jail. We don't imprison people for having cancer or diabetes, so let's see how we can keep those folks from even going into jail to serve them in the manner that they deserve. And I sent you last week, I believe, the Western Washington University pamphlet, or not pamphlet, but a whole program proposal that the students did for you last year. And I really urge the city to set up the homeless communities so that they have a place to shower and shave and bathe and launder their clothes, so that those that do already have jobs can go to work and have a safe place to have a good night's sleep. Thank you very much. We would very much appreciate you opposing the jail at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. Go ahead.
My name is Joy Gilfillan. I'm the president of the Restorative Community Coalition, and I too oppose the jail as it is proposed. We are not opposed to fixing the jail that is there. The sheriff admitted or actually spoke at the county council meeting that it is inhumane, it is shameful, it is bad, and our contention is that that's due to mismanagement over the past few years and to a lack of restorative, economic, alternative principles, options, and choices that are being proven around the nation that we could use to take people out of the funnel, the jail building funnel. If we were to not spend the $122.5 million, you're talking $18.5 million right away that is available that would be spent on the sheriff's headquarters. You could actually use that to help go together with the $14 million that might be available to us to build a mental health facility, as long as it's not in tandem with the jail itself. Not only that, if you removed roughly a quarter of the people out of the jail who are in there for nuisance violations or for overcriminalization issues, you can actually cut the cost and the incarceration levels by roughly 50%. So if you cut the incarceration levels right now by 50% by diverting them, not into diversion programs after they're incarcerated, but diverting them out of the jail in the first place, then you don't have to build that huge jail, and you could in fact fit the same kind of footprint that's being designed out there on a smaller facility right across the street. You could actually be building the jail immediately. That takes care of the urgent liability issue or the crisis that has been created by this urgent idea that we have to build a regional jail project. Instead, we need to build a Whatcom County Jail, which is what this thing originally was. And for the first time in probably quite a few years, I'm in agreement with Ray. I think that one of the most important things we can do is civic education. I think we really do need to understand where incarceration comes from, how laws are passed, what laws we need to change, what things are holding the hands of the judges, what kind of prison reform we need to have. There is a national movement afoot that's bipartisan, Republican, Democrat, and even Charles Koch has combined with Van Jones and with Newt Gingrich to absolutely create a prison reform movement from the national level. That's top-down politics. We have to do grassroots up. And for the first time in history that I'm aware of, our community could truly be a leader in pioneering a restorative economics initiative that truly is about social change. We have poverty problems. We have mental health problems. We have incarceration problems. We could solve it all right here with one move. Not building that and instead building a restorative economics plan. We will be hosting a conference in June, the Restoration Conference, Reclaim Our Nation from Incarceration, and the whole focus is how can we do it different. And we would invite you to support that, and I certainly would invite the judges to come speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. We're going to close our public comment period, and we're going to turn to the review of our committee meetings today. And our first one is Public Works, Public Safety, and Terry Borneman was the chair.
Thank you, Pinky. We had 3 items before our committee this afternoon. The first was the City of Bellingham's Fire Department and Whatcom County Fire District Consolidation update. Chief Bill Newbold gave us a presentation. The Bellingham Fire Department and Whatcom County Fire District 8 have been cooperatively exploring full functional consolidation and delivering fire and EMS services to both agencies. Discussions have included research on various forms of governance, including fire service contracts, annexation, and regional fire authority. An overview of these options were provided this afternoon, as well as an overview of these options was provided, as well as the direction for exploring a new near-term solution for full consolidation. Basically, it was for information only. The direction that was provided today was that we're in the process of exploring contract for services from the fire district to the city. These negotiations have went very well. It went much smoother than I think most of us expected, because of the leadership of Bill and in providing really concise information that everyone was able to understand and get behind quickly. And so it's gone really well so far. It's information only. The chief will be bringing back more information as the studies progress. Before any decisions are made, it will come back to the council for those decisions. So this was for information only.
Chief, is there anything you would like to add to that?
Bill Newbold, Fire Department. No, I think Terry Borneman captured that concisely and a great overview. I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
The second item we had before us was the Padden Creek daylighting bid number 48B 2014. This project includes creation of approximately 2,300 linear feet of new stream channel, riparian corridor, culvert bridge, pedestrian bridge for Padden Creek between 22nd Street and 17th Street along Old Fairhaven Parkway. The creek currently flows in an underground brick tunnel. Vicinity map is attached. 132 solicitations were viewed and 6 bids were received. The lowest responsive and responsible bid was $2,859,479.51, including sales tax by Strider Construction Company Incorporated. The engineer's estimate was for $2,980,626.63, including sales tax. This process has been going on for close to 30 years, looking at imagining this happening, and it's about ready to finally take place. So the committee recommended approval, and I happily move this.
I happily second.
Any other questions? We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0 with Jack Wise and Jean Knutson excused.
Okay, the last item before us was a bid award for the Alabama Corridor Multimodal Safety Improvement, project number ES-0466. The Alabama Corridor Multimodal Safety Improvement Project consists of a road diet in select areas, pedestrians crossing, widened turn lanes, storm water improvements, and an overlay from the Cornwall Avenue to St. Clair Street. The city received 5 bids, which were opened on April 10th, 2015 at 11 a.m. The lowest responsive and responsible bid was $3,377,989.20, inclusive of any sales tax submitted by Award Construction of Ferndale. The engineer's estimate was $2,896,939, inclusive of sales tax. This was a little different than what we've been receiving. Most bids we've been receiving over the last few years, we've been really happy because they're all been coming in lower than the estimates. This one did come in higher, but all the bids were very tight. So Public Works has asked that we approve this bid as solid bids and move forward with the project. The committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Councilmember Lillquist.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. I would just like to say this is a good project made better by public input and by responsive city staff and also the council. We modified the project, and I think we've struck a better balance. It'll be a good project.
Anyone else? We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0 with Jean Knutson and Jack Wise excused.
That's the end of committee.
Next committee is Finance and Personnel, and I am the chair. We had 4 items in front of us today. The first are about adjustments, are estimating our 2015 budget and reserves. The first ordinance was about adjusting estimated 2015 budgeting beginning reserves by $45,574,784 to equal actual beginning reserve balances. Committee recommended 3-0 to approve, and I so move.
Second.
Comments, questions? Motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Second item in front of us is an ordinance authorizing $11,751,064 in reappropriations for goods and services ordered in 2015 but unpaid at year end. Committee recommended 3-0 for approval, and I so move.
Second.
Questions, comments? No? Motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion approved 5-0. The third item, again, a budget ordinance to authorize $53,115,961 of reappropriations for goods and services budgeted in 2014 but unencumbered at year end. And committee recommended approval, 3-0. And I so move.
Second.
Questions, comments? No?
The only comment is, you're really growing into the job. You can rattle off 53 million and not bat an eye anymore. That's amazing.
I want to get my numbers right. I didn't do that this morning. So, get a second chance. We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. And our fourth item was to amend the Public Works Natural Resources budget for the addition of a 0.25 FTE of the Environmental Monitoring Coordinator position. And one point to add on this is that we're not adding personnel so much as we're taking a full-time position and dividing it into 2 people and adding just a little bit of an FTE in order to, through recommendation, that the job would be better suited to have 2 people. And we did not have the ordinance in front of us today, so instead we recommended that this be brought in front of the next council meeting. I don't know if that means we have to take a vote for that. Could someone maybe guide me on the, yes, Terry?
Wasn't part of the motion that it be brought before the council in the
Consent agenda. Thank you, Terry.
Agenda.
Yes, yes, it was. Anything else that I should add on that, Peter?
No, but I would recommend a motion just so it's really clear that it's at least moving in that direction so that Public Works has that direction.
Okay. If I just say so move, is that appropriate or, okay, all right. Second? Yeah. Thank you.
You got that, Linda?
We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion for recommendation that move to consent agenda at 5-0. And that is the end of committee of the finance chair. And now we're going to move to Parks and Recreation, and Roxanne Murphy is chair.
Well, thank you very much, President Pinky. So we had 2 items today for the Parks and Recreation Committee. The first was Seaholm Hill Arboretum Interlocal Cooperative Agreement. So here's a good civics lesson. The Seaholm Hill Arboretum is managed through Western Washington University with an interlocal agreement with the City of Bellingham's park staff. So our last contract, the last interlocal agreement expired. It's now time for us to renew that. We did a few minor edits to it, and the committee this afternoon unanimously approved the updated interlocal agreement for the mayor to enter into, and I so move.
Second.
Questions, comments? No? We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Our second item is a bit of a sad story that we hope to turn happy. It's repurposing the locomotive at Blodell Donovan Park. Unfortunately, the locomotive that you often see at Blodell Donovan Park is falling into sad disrepair, and that's not what we want to see have happen to this piece of history. So we've also received some letters of interest from people who may want to take that locomotive on and update it, maybe refurbish it. And so what we unanimously supported this afternoon was that we would surplus the locomotive, but only through a letter of interest process. So it's not exactly like we're putting it out there yet. We're going to see what people are interested in doing and review what their interests are. So the committee unanimously approved this surplus through letters of interest, and I so move.
Second.
Any comments, questions? No? We have a motion in front of, Mayor Kelly?
Well, just to add something to what Roxanne said, and the intent is that it be repurposed and not scrapped. So I don't want anyone to worry that we would have the intention of not repurposing the locomotive.
Thank you, Mayor.
We have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
End of committee.
We are flying tonight. Everybody wants to get outside and enjoy the rest of the day. We have some minutes in front of us. We have the council minutes from, we do not?
No.
I wasn't able to get the minutes from last week's meeting done, so there are no evening
Okay,
minutes
all
for
right, we'll
approval.
move on to that. And we will go to old or new business. Mayor Kelly? Okay, Michael?
Just a little bit of new business. The legislators down in Olympia are busy trying to balance the budget, but they're also passing some laws. Both houses just passed legislation headed to the governor that will affect us. It's a new law that obligates cities and counties to adopt a procedure for deferral of payment for impact fees until either final inspection, certificate of occupancy, or an equivalent. This law is going to affect the city. We have about a year to write this law. I've already talked to our planning director about it. They'll be developing it, putting in our work plan. We've talked about this idea several times. There's administrative problems with deferring it, even if it's a good idea for the developers to give them a financial break. There are some definite risks in how we implement that program. So I just wanted City Council and public to know that'll be coming up next year or sometime between now and next year.
Thank you, Councilman Lillquist and Mayor Kelly.
At this afternoon's meeting, we were asked to make adjustments in the oil train safety letter so that Pinky could sign as Mayor Pro Tem. And so we did that, and Brian has a copy of the letter, and I signed it, so we'll leave it with you, and then we can send it off tomorrow morning.
Thank you for bringing that forward to us, Mayor.
So I guess we need to, do we need to officially move to authorize Pinky to sign that letter? So I would move that we authorize the president or president pro tem of the city council to co-sign the mayor's letter on oil train safety.
Second.
You have a motion in front of us. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0, and I will sign the letter as chair pro tem. Any other old or new business? I have one quick item. I just wanted to give a little update on the Georgetown University Energy Prize. So our city is one of 50 cities in this national competition. We are in the final stages of having to have every city have their baseline data, and there will be a national press release where all cities will be compared at the end of May, and we'll know where we stand, and we can beat this competition. So we'll give you updates as we go. Anything else for old or new business? No? We're going to move on to the mayor's report.
Pretty simple tonight. Before I give the information about the appointments, I just want to say that the Fun with the Fuzz to benefit Behind the Badge was a wonderful event on Saturday. There were over 1,400 community members that signed up. Biggest one I think they've had, and it was just a really good event. And I want to especially thank the Behind the Badge group for organizing this. They get a lot of compliments. They do this across the state, maybe across the country, and ours has a very good reputation of being very well organized with a lot of participation. So, and I didn't come in last, and I was really happy because last year I was almost last. So with that, we have two appointments that I'm making today, both just for information. Jocelyn Lindsay is the new representative to the MNAC for Silver Beach neighborhood, and Barbara Plaskett is appointed to the Bellingham-Whatcom Housing Authority. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Coming. Thank you, Mayor. We're going to move to consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
I'm actually not sure how we do this part. Linda, you have to, do I just say
No.
motion in front of us
Yep.
for consent agenda? Okay, we have a motion in front of us to approve. We have a motion in front of us to approve consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? No? Approved? 5-0. Final, final consideration of ordinances. This one I know I hand over to Linda.
Agenda Bill 20751, an ordinance accepting the donation of real property and improvements known as the Patton Lake Hills Stormwater Facility.
Move third and final.
Second.
Motion in front of us, or do we go one at a time?
Roll call.
Linda does roll call, okay.
Michael Lillquist,
No.
Roxanne Murphy,
Aye.
Pinky Vargas,
Aye.
Terry Borneman.
Aye.
Dan Hamel.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 4-1. Jack Weiss and Gene Knutson excused. Sorry. Agenda Bill 20752, an ordinance accepting the donation of real property and improvements known as the 22nd Street Stormwater Facility.
Move third and final.
Second.
Okay, Roxanne Murphy,
Aye.
Pinky Vargas,
Aye.
Terry Borneman,
Aye.
Dan Hamel,
Aye.
Michael Lillquist.
No.
Ordinance passes 4-1. Gene Knutson, Jack Weiss excused. Agenda Bill 20753, an ordinance accepting the donation of real property located south of and adjacent to Birch Street.
Move third and final.
Second.
Pinky Vargas,
Aye.
Terry Borneman,
Aye.
Dan Hamel,
Aye.
Michael Lillquist.
Aye.
Roxanne Murphy.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 5-0. Gene Knutson, Jack Weiss excused.
And that's it for us? All right, and with that, we will adjourn today's council meeting. We are adjourned.